The Asset Protection Trust has all the benefits of the revocable trust. It avoids probate, plus, as the name suggests, the Asset Protection Trust gives you protection as well now while you're alive. So protection from creditors, protection from lawsuits, and these two, they're from day one, okay, from the day you set the trust up. And also the Asset Protection Trust, under the Medicaid rules, after 5 years, protection from Medicaid in the nursing home. So what I mean by that is, as long as the trust is set up at least 5 years ahead of time, this money in the trust here is off the table. Medicaid cannot get to it. So that's the Asset Protection Trust. Sometimes you'll see this referred to as a Medicaid trust, and that's fine. I mean, I don't call it that because yes, it is useful for Medicaid, but people use it for various other reasons. I have clients who, they have rental property. Let's say they own several rental properties. They put all of those in this trust to avoid being sued by tenants, for example, or friends of tenants that come over to the house. The trust separates their personal assets from what's in the trust. A doctor, I have several clients who are physicians or other people in high-risk professions. Again, same thing, put the assets in the Asset Protection Trust to avoid personal liability if they're sued above and beyond what insurance covers. So those are all different reasons for the Asset Protection Trust. And then I mentioned just briefly the IRA Inheritance Trust. So, of course, IRAs are treated differently, as we know, because that's a pre-tax asset. That's an IRA or a 401k, obviously, is money that has not yet been taxed. Some people, if they have large IRAs, they like to separate those out for kids and grandkids so that the beneficiaries take those retirement assets seriously. They don't just blow them. We say avoids the blowout. And what this can do then is it can stretch the assets out for up to 10 years where children or grandchildren have time to draw out the money and spread the taxes out that way. So again, kids are usually adults by this time, but beneficiaries need to understand the difference between taxed and pre-tax assets. Okay then, so to summarize, the best way to protect ourselves, care for our loved ones, is to develop this long-term asset protection plan. Now, not always, but in many cases, for many of my clients, that involves the Asset Protection Trust. But it doesn't have to. That's up to you. Excuse me. So, what all is involved with the Asset Protection Trust? As we've talked about, not all trusts are the same. We've seen the difference between the closed box and the open box. We don't want creditors getting in there. Important if Medicaid is a concern, but as I mentioned, for other reasons as well. These are a couple of questions that I get all the time. Well, this still sounds great, but do I still maintain control of the money? Well, the answer is yes, you do. Because John, again, use them as an example. John and Agnes, well, they're alive as well. When they create the trust, of course, they're the trustees, they're the managers of the trust. So whatever money is in here, they can take money in and out of the trust as they wish because they're the trustees, the managers of the trust. The accounts can stay where they are, meaning, for example, let's say John has a CD with Bank of America. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to work with him with all the assets. So he's going to contact Bank of America. He's going to say, hey, this CD that I have in my name now, Bank of America, I want you to retitle, that's the key word, I want you to retitle this CD into the name of the trust so it's protected. But it's still John's money. If he wants to move it to Wells Fargo or Truist or, wherever, the credit, wherever, he can still move the CD, but it's titled in the name of the trust so it's protected. And then the trust then becomes just like a will, so you decide where you want your assets to go after you pass. The trust says that just like a will would say that. And as it says on the screen here, a simple retitling. It is simple, but it's a very important step, because if this CD is still outside of the trust when John passes away or when John goes into the nursing home, unless this is entitled in the name of the trust, it's not protected. So that second step of moving it, titling it into the trust is very important.